What's up, y'all? Mr. Catch 22 here. Listen, like, comment, subscribe down below. Let's get straight to it. Hopefully you guys watched part 1. First things first, how I would attack this problem personally is I would look at the 3 entities basically given. So this y fourth is its own entity, this negative 9y cubed it's its own, and this positive 14y squared is its own. From there, I'll find the common variable on each 1, 2, 3 of this problem given to us. It looks like we got a y here, and a y here, so we'll take the y out. Therefore, once we take the y out, we can also see that we have a y fourth, y cubed, y squared. Okay, so therefore we'll take the least common factor of the 3. That's the y squared. So we'll put the y squared out there. Okay. So then from there, let's say hypothetically speaking, you pick the y fourth. The y fourth will not work because the y fourth can go only to itself, and then not the 3 and not the 2 because it's a lot bigger. Okay, so moving forward, you'll put parentheses here, and you'll put a parentheses right here. Okay, so then therefore, all you have to do is work in reverse and try to get back this original problem. How do you do that, John D? I'll show you. So we got a y squared. All we have to figure out is y squared times what will give us this y fourth. So y squared times y squared will give us this y fourth. Okay, so now we have a minus sign, so we drop the sign. Okay, that's what you do next. You drop the sign, then you follow suit. So we have a y squared here, and we got a y cubed here. So basically, we need is one more y, okay? Because y squared times a y will give us this y cubed. So you just take care of that y, but then we have this 9. Okay, so how do we get this 9? Just drop the 9 down. Okay, so we dropped the 9 down. Okay, and as you can see, the reason why it got dropped down because, like I said, we're working in reverse. We're trying to get back to the original problem. Y squared times negative 9y gives us this. You see that? All right, on to the next one. Same thing, you drop the sign down. Okay, then you also will ask yourself again, y squared times what will give me this 14y squared. Okay, cool, we have a y squared here. Okay, so there's no need to put a y squared here, because if you put a y squared here, you get y squared times y squared. Like here, you get a y fourth. We do not have that here. Okay, so all you have to do is just drop the 14, and bam, bam, that is your final answer. Okay, all right, next one. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, a text message, whatever. Reply down on the comment. All right. Same rule applies for this one, okay? Don't overthink it. Take your time. Right here. This is its own entity. Own entity. Own entity. Okay, so we have 3. So same rule applies. Common variables. We have x here, x here, x here. Okay, bam. We're taking out the x. Next, you look at the x and the power of the x. We have a cube, we have a square, we have a 1. You take the least 1, which is 1. You take the least 1. See, that was a tongue twister. Okay, so now that we got that established, now you look at the coefficient on the front. We got a 2 here, we got a 2 here, we got a 24. We got a 2 here, but we got a 2 here, but a 24. 24 divided by 2, that's a 12. Okay, 12 times 2 is 24. So our least common factor is 2. Okay. Now that we have it established, remember this is just 1, so don't overthink it. I'll take that out for any confusion. I'll put a parentheses right here. Okay, so same rule like we just did. So x squared, x1, okay, times what will give us this x cubed? Well, we need 2 right there, and the reason why we need 2 is because when we multiply these 2, it brings us back to this original problem. Okay, now that's established. Now we bring a minus sign out in front, and then you do the same rule applies. Okay, so how do I proceed? And figure this one out. You ask yourself the same question, but also remember you do the same procedure as well. So don't overthink it. Don't overthink anything about this. So we already see that there's a 2 here. We have an x here. All we need is 1 more x. Okay. Now you're probably asking yourself, what about the y? All we need is 1 more y. Okay. So same rule applies. You drop the sign down. Okay. And then we have a 24 here. We already established 2 times 12 will give us 24. So we put a 12 here. We already have an x, and there's an x there. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that, but there's a y squared here, but there's no y squared here. So we got to drop that down as well. Okay, so, but now looking at this, you can already tell that yes, you can say this is correct, but this is not finished in the sense that it's not simplified. We have an x squared here, and we have a y squared here. Therefore, we can simplify this, okay? And we already know we can just bring this out, and same rule applies, okay? And the same rule applies is the fact that it's going to start with an x squared, so we'll put parentheses here, and put another x right there, and it's going to end with the y, okay? So we already know it's going to end with the y, and it's going to end with the y. And the reason why I say that is because there's a y squared here, there's an x squared here. Now we have two negative signs, okay? Those two negative signs, what are they indicating? They're indicating to us that if you take two, let's say if you take two products, two numbers, you know, products, multiplication, so then you do 2 times 2, correct? Excuse me, if you do -2 times -2, you get a +4. So we already know by default, okay, by default, we know that whatever signs we put here, it cannot be too negative, because that's not going to give us a negative, okay, answer. It will give us a positive answer. So therefore, we already know, and this is trial and error, so we'll put a negative here, and we'll put a addition sign right there. Now you think to yourself, okay, 4 times 3 will give us 12, which is perfect. If I do 4 minus 3, that does give me 1, okay? So just remember that there's a, you know, imaginary 1 right there, okay? So you already know in the back of your head, 4 and 3, that'll be the perfect fit instead of 6 and 2, you know, or 12 times 1, okay? So you have quite a few options to get back to 12. So we'll put a 4 right here, and we'll put a 3 right here, and this right here would be your final answer. Like I said, on your own you can check, you can simplify it to get it back to the original problem. But either, I mean, depending on who your teacher is, they'll probably like this better, but this is also correct, just letting you know. Alright, so number 3. Like I said, there might be a part 3 for this. It gets even more complex. But once you get the hang of it, you know, you should be good. Okay, so number 3, we get a question written like this. Let's say you have something written like this. Same rule applies. Put a parentheses here. Okay, and by just looking at it, you already know this x squared, there's going to be an x here, there's going to be an x there, just right off the bat. Next thing is next, you got to think about, alright, so what number is going to give me 6, you know, when I multiply it? You get 6 times 1 and you get 3 times 2. Like I said, this is all try and error, but since I kind of already did this in advance for you guys, I'll save the time. It's 3 and 2. So put a 3 here and a 2 there, okay? So now that we got that established, next thing is next, we look at the signs, okay? So with the signs, you're probably asking, and like I previously said on the other problem, there's 2 negatives for this and this. Therefore, we already know whatever sign we put here, they both can't be negative. So one has to be negative and the other one has to be positive, okay? So therefore, we'll put a positive here and a negative there. Like I said, this is trial and error, you know, take your time. But once you get the hang of it on your own, it should be like butter, okay? Smooth. Alright, so then, next thing is next, you have to ask yourself the question, what will get us to 20? So what will get you to 20 is, you know, 10 times 2, 20 times 1, or you also have 5 times 4, okay? So, therefore, like I said, you have those 3 options that you can try, but then you also can look at this middle and realize, okay, so with the 5 and the 4, correct, that we'll start with that since that's the, you know, the smallest number. We can put a 4 here, we could put a 5 right there, okay? So then, when you FOIL these, you know, to check your answers, because that's what you should always do, you get 6x squared minus 15x plus 8x minus 20. Okay, so when you look at that, you can already tell the 6x is good, and these two right here, since they're like terms, so minus 15 plus 8, so minus 15x plus 8x will give you negative 7x minus 20. Bam. this checks out. So therefore, this is your final answer. Alright, let's squeeze in one more. Like I said, this stuff gets a little crazy. Let's say, for instance, we had a question like this, number 4. Oops. So let me bring that down. 20 p squared minus 23 p plus 6. Okay. So how would I approach this? Same way I've always approached everything else. Parentheses here, parentheses there, parentheses here, parentheses there. P squared. So we already know it's going to start with this p automatically. Then you look at this 20. Then you ask yourself, well, alright, what two numbers can go into 20? So you got 20 times 1, 5 times 4, and then you got 10 times 2. Okay, so usually I always go for the smallest number. The reason why is because, you know, once you start going for like 20, you can already tell, like, alright, this is a 6, so it's not going to be that crazy. You know, so you always start small. So remember, we have our 20, and the options that I had were 20 times 1, 10 times 2, 5 times 4. Okay? So I always shoot for the smallest number, and then I work my way. Okay, so with this 20, we already established the 5 times the 4 will give us the 20. Okay? And then we can already see that there's a minus sign and there's an addition sign. So for a product, we know if it's two negative numbers, that will give us a positive. But our only problem is we also have a negative right here. Okay? So you also have to remember and take that in consideration. But so far, we're in the clear. If we put two negative signs, we do fulfill that. We do get a negative number. We do get a positive number when you multiply the two. And then for our center one right here, this negative 23, if we add two negative, we still get a negative answer as well. So we're in the clear. So then we think about the 6. How do we get 6? You have 6 times 1. And then you also have 3 and times 2. So like I said, always pick the smallest number. So we'll do the 3 and the 2. So we'll put a 2 here. I'll put a 3 right there. Okay? And like I said, the way you place your numbers, that's up to you. Okay? Like I said, it'll take time, but it's better to, you know, make mistakes, you know, than rush the problem. And you'll learn, you know, that's life, you know, that's the beauty of math. You always learn from your mistakes. But then, to make sure this question is answered correctly, 5p times this 4p will give us 20p squared. So 5p times negative 3 will give us negative 15p. Okay. And then from there, we'll proceed to this negative 2 times this 4p, which will give us negative 8p. And then negative 2 times negative 3 should give us positive 6. So like terms right here. You get 20p squared. Add these two, you get negative 23p plus 6. Bada bing, bada boom. Listen, y'all, like, comment, subscribe down below. Part 3 will be coming soon. Gets a little more complex, gets a little more tricky. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I wish you guys the best of luck. Take care, guys.